What's up and welcome back. I'm John Starkerback, themovieguy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And we're here. It's the end of the line. And to celebrate the end of the line, I'm wearing my Stranger Things t-shirt, which is also a Netflix show that is also reaching the end of the line in 2025. And this is my recap, my final recap of Cobra Kai, Season 6, Episode 15. I did it slowly. Week by week by week, I finally got here. So yes, I'm happy that the show ended the way that it did. I don't care that it tied everything up in happy little knots, and that we just get this warm, fuzzy feeling at the end of the series. Not every series needs to end with a depressing way. We got our explosive ending in the previous episode, which I realized that the guys never really follow up on. They're never really like, what have we ever, like, they're just like, I don't know, the dudes aren't around anymore. I remember Wolf said something like, where's Silver? But I think for the most part, people were just like, I don't know. They're just, they're not here. Who cares? You know, the villains of the franchise blew up on a boat. Gone. So we see Johnny training, and then he gets to fight Wolf, and Wolf is trying to be a douchebag and get inside his head. But it's all about the combining of the styles. It's this great final moment for Johnny and Daniel, who have been at odds since the original movie. A lot of growth for Johnny. We see him, visiting his mother's grave. It's really sort of a showcase for how far William Zabka has come as an actor. For an actor who really didn't get much work after The Karate Kid, to be suddenly thrown back into Cobra Kai, he had a learning curve that he had to come in with in order to be able to deliver any sort of emotional depth, which I realize at times has been sort of surface level. But after 6 seasons, I kind of feel like he got there. I could say the same thing about an actor like Justin Hartley on This Is Us. When you watch the early stuff, he's not really on the same level as everybody else in the cast, because he's never really been expected to do anything like that before. But he catches up. He gets there eventually. So did Mandy Moore and Milo Ventimiglia. I mean, they're all actors who were never given roles of consequence, and suddenly were given roles of consequence, and had to figure out how to bring real humanistic emotion into it, which is one of the reasons why This Is Us gets better as you watch it, is because they grow into the characters. And I think that's true here too of William Zabka. Is he hasn't played this character in years, and then he comes back to it, and it's this is what happens to Johnny, and you're like, oh shit, man, this is what happens to him. I'm sure this kind of also happened to him a little bit as a person too. When you're in Hollywood for a while, and then the roles dry up and you end up moving on. So I think he connected with a lot of what Johnny Lawrence was going through, and it made for an interesting sort of cocky, sarcastic performance in the beginning that didn't need to have enough emotional depth to it. He was what he was. He was an asshole. But towards the end, he's had to lighten up a lot. He's been thrown some really deep moments, like when he thought he was going to lose Carmen because she had been rushed to the hospital, or his scenes with Robbie, his scene in the episode before this with Kreese. He's had a couple moments that towards the end have required a lot more of him as an actor, and I've been really impressed by what he's delivered. So he's come a long way. Ralph Macchio, on the other hand, he's had more work, and he's had more film opportunity and more acting experience. And I think he's pretty much always played the what we would think of Daniel grew up to be version pretty well. So I sad to see these characters go. We touched base with most of the main characters before we left. We got to see. Uh, did we see Tori? I don't know that we saw Tori though. I feel like we did. We had to have seen Tori because we saw Robbie, right? I'm sure Tori was around somewhere, and just maybe didn't do enough to be mentioned in the audio description. I don't know. But Sam and Miguel have a lot of their stuff happening because she's going to Japan and he got into Stanford, and that whole relationship thing, which sets itself up perfectly for a spin-off slash sequel if they want it. We'll see. And Johnny ends up getting the dojo, and Daniel sort of is helping him out with that. And we see that after Johnny beats Wolf, which you knew he was going to, and finally gets this victory, he ends up running Cobra Kai because they're like the world's greatest dojo now, and he's blending it with Miyagi-Do. So he teaches offense while Daniel teaches defense. So they have this very symbiotic relationship with each other. And Johnny hilariously doesn't know what property taxes are or anything like that. And Daniel's like, I'm going to set you up with my accountant. So you pay business taxes, right? What? Okay. So, yeah, so Johnny has no business acumen to him at all. He gets to buy the house that he wanted. He gets to take Carmen up to the house with his little new baby, and they get to go in the house and be like, oh my God, my house, it's here. We live here now. I love that the finale cut back to two former friends of Johnny's, like from the original movie, who are still around and alive and who have been in and out of the series. And they're watching the Sekai Taikai, and they're like, do you think Johnny's going to win? Nah, I don't know, man. There's also a thing at the end, sort of like right after, like a sort of a post-credit sequence between Daniel and Johnny, which played on the catching a fly with toothpicks thing that happened in the original movie. But there were also some people that were talking at a table about like rebooting something. And I was like, I wonder if those are the show's creators cameoing in their own show. This is a very meta moment. It feels like this is the most meta moment of all. So it's a good finale. I think really the episode before this was the better one that set up, because it gave us what we were looking for in terms of the next Karate Kids in Miguel and Tori winning their competitions. And then they were like, oh, by the way, Johnny's going to fight too. And it's like, okay. I didn't need this, but I'm happy it's here. So yeah, I guess it's a good second part of a finale. But really, yeah, episodes 14 and 15 feel like they're like a two-part finale. So I will miss the show, and I hate the fact that the new Karate Kid movie is one of those things where it's pretending like Cobra Kai doesn't exist as a show, and that Daniel doesn't have a family or anything like that. Like, it mentions nothing. They've said that they completely sidestepped Cobra Kai. It's even though Cobra Kai is a direct reference to the Karate Kid universe, and it's the whole reason why there would be a Karate Kid movie in theaters now. They have decided they think it's in the best interest that people will be happy to not have any Cobra Kai or reference to in the movie, which is bizarre, and I think it's going to backfire on them. But we'll see. Maybe the movie's great. I think it's going to backfire. I think when they try to combine only the film version of Daniel and people go in and they're like, wait a minute, doesn't he have a wife and kids? Is he not going to talk about them ever? Like when it's like a completely different Daniel, I think is going to throw people off. So I mean, Cobra Kai, the series finale, I'm gonna give it an A, just because on the way out the door, I love the show, and I'm really happy that Netflix picked it up and ran with it. And the creators have talked about how they have ideas to continue the universe. I'm here for it. Uh, in theory, I mean, it could be a cool idea depending on who they continue it with, but I think probably for a lot of these characters, it'll be the last time you see them. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.